Okay, well, I guess let's get started here. So, I guess go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right, well, I'm Pichi. I've been speedrunning DKC1 since 2012, and I've been pretty active in the speedrunning community since then, doing various SNES games mostly, but also some other games like Worms and so on.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Worms like the what's the
Armageddon on the PC.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah, and I did that in time as well. Just here and there I've dabbled, but I've only ever gotten high level in Donkey games.
that's usually the case, right? It's like whenever you play a game or whenever you play multiple games, there's usually one that's like your mainstay,
Yeah.
and then there's a couple other ones that are like for fun.
Yeah, I've been trying to fight that tendency lately, though.
I gotcha. Okay, so you said you first got into it in about 2012,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
What was the community like whenever you first joined?
Well,
That was pretty early on, right?
Mm-hmm. So when I first joined, it was it was around January in 2012. It was long before I started playing Donkey, but I didn't really get into any games. I was just linked to SRL from a friend on Facebook, and it was really small, like really comfy. It was the old red SRL design. I don't know if there are any screenshots of that, probably like web archive, but the way SRL was laid out was racing was everything, which like that was the reason the site was made. So on the front page, streams were organized by alphabetically by the race, or maybe it was by people in the race. I can't remember exactly, but it was organized by races, and anybody that was streaming anything else just got tossed in like a miscellaneous section at the bottom, and you'd click a horizontal section, and there'd be small like squares of every stream. So it kind of looks like the race page now. It actually changed in 2012, but this was like earlier on. That was the older design,
Right.
And everyone hung out in the main Speedruns Live channel. I actually really miss some of those aspects. Like I had an IRC log that I had for years, and from that I had been in RC just lurking, idling mostly since that time. And I remember the first thing I saw was a bunch of people doing a take a shower race on misc races. Everyone just screwed around. They're like Speed Guns Live, the push-up races, a bunch of silliness. The mods usually shut them down, but it was way just goofy, and people would hop in races all the time to do whatever. A lot of the runners, everybody would race the most popular games just to have something to do on the side, as long along with whatever they were doing, on their own.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think the SRL heyday was really interesting, but I guess I was never a part of that. It kind of died off by the time that I really got around to speedrunning, which is a shame.
When was that?
I got in about 2014.
Okay.
I think I watched SGDQ 2014, which is the first time I really
a little bit. It was definitely I would say it was still used pretty regularly, but then Discord hit in 2015, so nobody had a reason to hang around the IRC, and then with speedrun.com coming in and pulling traffic, kind of SRL is just kind of a vestige. Like it still serves a purpose, but I didn't even use it in 2014 to watch streams anymore, so but it was just for IRC. Once that died, that was kind of it.
I gotcha. Okay, well, I guess let's get back to DKC. So, so you've been running for a long time, right? You've been running since 2012. So over the course of your playing, like you've been playing for the whole time between them?
More or less. I mean, I took breaks, but I never took a long enough break that I came back and didn't know what was going on, so I'd seen it all develop.
So, like, obviously there's the big tricks, right? There's the big jump rolls and stuff like that. But beyond that, what are some of the biggest differences between how the run was back then and how the run is now?
Well, it's just way more optimized. When I played, the best runner was TJP, and TJP, his PB had like 2 deaths in it, and I don't know if he got any frames, but any jump rolls or anything like that. But I'll say frames, by the way, whenever I'm referring to like jump rolls or super jump rolls of any kind. That's what we usually call it. So when I was trying to beat his time initially, I still played very suboptimally. It was my first speed game, so I didn't have an eye for how to speed up a game naturally. So I'd run in a lot of places. Donkey's always like, if it's based on like keeping your roll as long as possible and like uptime on your roll, like you always want to be rolling no matter what, generally, unless there's something else to do to get a better roll. And yeah, I remember running through specific parts and just playing not nearly as good as you'd expect from what was high level play at the time, but RTA was just pretty underdeveloped, and I was able to take TJP's record eventually with much lower level of play. Not horribly so, but definitely lower level of play. And that didn't change. Like, I was more focused on the frames than anything, and which there weren't that many back then. And that didn't really change until some more experienced runners came in and pushed it much, much further.
Right. I had a question. I forgot what I was going to do. When do you think the big push for optimization was?
Well, I kind of like the only runner back at the time when I joined was like Pichi Darcy that was streaming regularly. TJP streamed occasionally, and Pichi wasn't the type of runner. He just raced for fun mostly, but he did have tutorials. That's what I learned off of. But
oh, nice.
It was when I started streaming it more, it kind of picked up more steam, and he had runners such as Closty and Garrison and Mundongu and Minion coming in and Reflected. And once they started playing, that happened more in 2013, the game really started picking up steam. And Garrison especially, he rolled in and caught up to me and beat my time pretty handily. And a lot of my experience with the all stages category in particular was trying to playing catch up for a long time until I hit a higher level of play.
I gotcha. Okay. I feel like I every time I'm like I got a good follow up question, and then I'd forget it by the time you end your sentence.
Push to talk and typing notes at the same time might help.
That would be a good idea. Be smart. I'm not a smart man. Okay, so Garrison, I recognize a lot of those names you mentioned.
Yeah. If you recognize like Mini and Mundongu, I'd be surprised. But
I did not recognize that name. I did recognize Garrison,
old school
and Reflected.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you played all stages, but did you play any other categories, or did you focus on any of those?
I started with all stages, but any percent was kind of seen as a silly thing at first. And TGP had a run that he just threw up randomly, but then Closty and Japanese runner named Tack Blossom came in and started doing more serious runs. Tack Blossom's run is like the most popular donkey run on YouTube. I think it's like near 1 million views now. I don't know why, but it just they keep flooding in. So we are always lurking in the comments trying to correct information that's, it doesn't have commentary or anything. So we're just like, yeah, this is ancient. It's much different now.
That's good. Speaking of the Japanese runners, so early on in the history of DKC, a lot of it was like, hey, let's try and compare our runs to the Japanese community, because I think they have a pretty large DKC speedrunning community as well, right?
I never knew a lot about the DKC one, Jay, because it's a totally different run that's slower. And so I knew about Tack because he started playing on the US version, and there wasn't really much communication. There was like a J leaderboard, and I knew about some, regular names like I think I like Riz was very well known, and I actually learned how to do one of the tricks based off of a tutorial video from Riz on Nico Video. It's kind of funny, but I never really kept in contact with them myself. Nowadays, though, there are many Japanese runners coming in. Like, you see them much more often.
Yeah, that's good, because usually it's like the other way around, right? With
Two's story, Two's story is all very based on catching up to the Japanese. DKC 2's history.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that one especially.
Okay. Okay. So I was talking to Garrison, and he mentioned how MS Paint was like a big thing in the DKC community, right? And I
All
was
right.
wondering if you could maybe talk about that a little bit.
I mean, okay, so I mean, donkey tricks are like, you have to start your roll at this specific part, and there's like a rhythm to it, right? So you gotta tap 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 the button at a specific points on the stage, and a lot of tricks are like it's kind of difficult to get that down. You kind of just try different rhythms until one works, like different spots to get extendo. So what's the easiest way to do that? You could do it with a video, but that's kind of a pain. So freaking take the map, slap it in MS Paint, draw a red line, and put X's or something where you need the inputs to be. It's really like that. I think that I don't know. I think I saw the Juice do it a lot in DKC too, and so it inevitably made its way to Donkey One as well. Yeah,
Gotcha.
the MS Paint tutorials are definitely nostalgic.
Did you ever make any of them yourself?
I think there's one or two I threw in. Mine will have like different fonts, but the greatest ones are by Levinok, because he just has ridiculous like descriptions on all of them. If you go to the tricks page on DKC,
Yeah, I skimmed through a few of those.
mm-hmm.
Some of them were pretty interesting.
The MS Paint hurts my soul, I have to say. As a designer, it hurts me, but it's
all about expediency, and kind of became a meme, I suppose.
Yeah.
One of the I was always a little bit distant from the rest of the donkey community, not horribly so. Like I still talk to everybody. I just wasn't hanging out in their mumble or anything like that back in the day. So I'm not gonna have a lot of insight on that kind of thing.
I gotcha. Okay. So I guess moving on from that. Map Warp was banned back in, was it 2012? Yeah, back in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And then it came back around 2014. Were you around for the discussion about when it was coming back?
Yeah. Okay. It was like, it's pretty like, oh, should we do this? Like, it wasn't too complicated. So it was, I think Silent Wolf was one of the people that got it. That was part of the discussions to get it banned on SDA in like 2011 or something, because it was originally allowed on SDA as well. Mm-hmm. And then I got banned. So when I came into the game, I was banned. So I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. Then around 2013, when I was telling you a lot more runners, probably early spring, summer 2013, I would say, is when, I remember Garrison, Karihime, reflected all of them being part of the discussion. And I don't remember. Originally, I wanted to not lose out on some of the tech in Orangutan Gang, but I was like, yeah, okay, I guess we're doing it. I didn't care that much.
Yeah, it seems like such a weird deal, but so do you think it was like one-sided, or everyone's just like, yeah, let's just get rid of it? Was there much of a fight put up?
I remember Karihime in particular was like, all right, if y'all keep this ban, that's just stupid. I'm gonna bust out a run that has it anyway, and you're just gonna have to deal. He was the only one that was heated about it. Donkey does a much better job, I think, than most communities in keeping things calm when discussing. That's not always been, that hasn't been the case 100% of the time, but I think we fare much better than some horror stories about other communities.
Right. I gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that it's been unbanned, because my thoughts are almost always like, if we can do something.
Yeah, it really comes down to defining what the category means in a way that's simple and logical. I think that's my view for categories. Just it makes sense and be logically consistent, and that's fine. It doesn't matter if they're silly, as long as they make sense. But the thing is, I always saw it as, okay, we're redefining the categories. You don't really necessarily have to. All stages isn't entering and exiting every stage, playing it all the way through. It's just beating every stage. So if you can get into the stage in some other way, then by all means. But that really only like came down to map warp. That hasn't changed.
Yeah, luckily it's only one stage, so it's not like a whole like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this for literally every stage. It's like, no, it's just one.
It would just be a different category at that point.
Yeah. Okay.
And everyone would hate it, I'm sure.
Map warp is weird because it almost doesn't seem like it should save time. Because Orangutan Gang is not a long level. It's pretty short, and then at the same time,
you have 10 seconds.
You have to leave and then go back to World 1 and then navigate and then mash and get in.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's faster. So
yeah, the much more heated discussion, or lively, I should say, the much more lively discussion is map warp mashing methods.
I've from GDQ commentary, I've heard of spoon strats and Wiimote strats.
Yeah. And I was, in my case, I just, you would slide a button across all 4 face buttons on the controller in such a way, like, that's what a lot of people did. I just used the side of my finger with the SFC pad, so it didn't have the sharp corners on some of the buttons.
SFC, you said? Oh, Super
Family. Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Took me a minute to register that. Okay. So you had world record back in 2013, and then almost 4 years to the day, I think 11 days difference, you finally got world record back in 2018. 17? 17, sorry.
Yes.
So
11 was it? I don't even know. It's been about 4 years now, but I wasn't counting.
The last time you'd had it was it was
March or April 2013.
June 11, 2013.
Oh yeah, that's one.
With the 3451.
When I said it.
And then you got it back in May 25. Yeah, May 25th.
Yeah.
No, May 29th. There we go. So yeah, it's just a few days off. Which I think is pretty cool. It would have been really cool if you had done it on the exact day. Like, bam, 4 years. And we're back, baby. So what was the grind like, I guess? Were you playing the whole time? You were just kind of like in like top 5?
I played Hundo, I played Old Summit, I played Any Percent, I played other games. The history was a lot of me catching up to the record. And then there was a infamous 3-way 33-54 tie back in the day between me, Garrison, and Lepanok, but I think I had the worst decimal time.
Right.
I was like the slowest of the 33-54s, but it was kind of funny how common in DKC tied records seem to be.
Yeah, even the leaderboard page has there have been many tied world records.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of silly.
It's significant. You had to put a note in.
And when and I caught up to that, and I was trying to beat that, and then Garrison busts out a 33-23, and I'm like, oh god, I don't know. And that was probably the longest standing record, and it might have been anyway. It took a long time for anybody. I got 33-24 in 2015, and I never beat that until Super Jump Rolls came into the mix, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was trying to, and Eason ended up taking the record later on. Something I didn't mention, a little off topic, is that one of the most important people back in the day for the DKC community was Tampa, who was very constant. He's a tasser who doesn't work on all stages, though, so he doesn't have a lot to do with the story of all stages, but he was just a deep well of knowledge for the game, and you could always I could pester him with questions about the game at any point. He would always be in New Runners chats. He popped in my chat when I was streaming learning the game originally, and he's always been a presence in the community.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, we have him lined up for an interview.
Nice.
Well, it's really funny. CJ can corroborate, where I had never heard of Tampa before until we did our Minish Cap video months ago.
He's kind of in the background, but then once you know who he is,
I see him worked on this everywhere. He's a big part of this game, and we actually did this game mainly because he was such a big part that we had a sort of an in into the community. One of the
most prolific members of the speedrunning community, I think, in tassing in particular, I should say.
Yeah, and so it's now that I know who he is, I'll be watching ZFG and I'll see Tampa pop up, and it's oh,
yeah.
Tampa.
Yeah, he's not as
oh my god.
He's
How
not
did
as
I
common
notice?
as he used to be, but he doesn't hang out as many. He's got busier nowadays, I think. But
Yeah.
um,
Oh well.
I got the treat of watching him TAS live at a GDQ once on his laptop, and
Oh wow.
he plays the keyboard like a piano when he's TASing. Like he's just doing short segments in real time, like not even much slowdown until he gets something right. But he like loads snates, redoes it. Like I don't even know how he tells what's faster, but he does it so fast. Like it's a funny experience.
Yeah, he's been described as having a frame eye where he can just like really pick out like that frame was so much better. Let's do this. You could save one more frame.
Yeah.
Which
Anyway.
I don't have that. Okay. Let's see here. So while we're talking about frames and tricks and stuff, I'm gonna have you explain to me. I'm familiar with jump rolls and super jump rolls, but let's have you explain it. That way, if we need to explain what it is in the video, we can have just put your explanation on.
Okay, so a jump roll is a horizontal flying glitch where you perform a roll and bounce on an enemy on the same frame. And I guess a lot of old games have glitches when multiple things are executed on the same frame. Like Ocarina is the famous example with like super sliding, which is what, like picking up a bomb and shielding the damage and whatever else at the same time.
Right.
Like 3 things at once, I believe. So it's similar to that. It like the game combines the actions in some weird way, and the result is you get this. You look like you were shot horizontally out of a barrel, but in slow motion. Like the animation is slower, but the speed is really fast. And normally you can't roll, obviously, when you jump, so you can't roll when you bounce on something. But in this game, if you run towards an enemy on the edge that isn't hurting you, you'll bounce on it. So if you tap Y on the same frame, there's a small period when you run off a stage, like a couple frames or something. I'm not sure exactly where you can tap Y. You can still roll and jump and stuff. It's like, I think they did it because the edges aren't very well defined in
Right.
DKC. So a little bit of leeway. I've heard that was like good design practice in general before I knew about it in DKC.
Generally, I think that's a good idea, especially for platformers.
Yeah, Mario World doesn't have it, and it's suffering sometimes.
Yeah.
It's so easy to die because you tap B like a pixel too early or something.
Yeah.
Like right before you landed. Anyway, yes. So
that's jump rolls. I think super jumps is a bit more complicated than that, though.
Yeah. So yeah, jump rolls are really simple. You do 2 things at once whenever the game allows, and you just rocket forward, and you lose a pixel of height every 256 frames. So, and you can go through every enemy except for bees. That's really important.
Right.
Bees hurt you, nothing else does. And sometimes you can roll out of it. There's some various things, but super jumps, this was found off of a YouTube channel. Garrison might know, or the others might know. I'm not sure the YouTube channel, so they'll have to credit it. I just remember it being like some Spanish-speaking channel, and it was a DKC glitch hunter. Right. I remember seeing the video back in the day, but it wasn't a speedrunner that found it. It was just some glitch hunter. And so I wasn't really a part of routing it into the run, but they had gotten a few places, and I think it had been improved by Japanese testers as well in Force Frenzy. So the super jump, you're storing the jump that Kongs do when they get hit and then reach a wall. They usually run off screen when they get hit, but if they reach a wall, they climb up the wall and jump to the ceiling, and you're storing and controlling that jump. So if you sacrifice Diddy near a wall, and then you go get Diddy back with a DK barrel, Diddy's going to run up to the top of the screen, jump up to the top of the screen, then you get him back and you sack Donkey instead, or afterwards. And you always do an automatic jump in this game when you switch Kongs. It's to like prevent you from falling into pits or whatever, so that you don't unfairly lose both Kongs at the same time.
Right.
And so during that initial automatic jump, you hold down B, and then you just land on something. You can hit the ground first and then run off, but you just have to be holding B the whole time. And so long as you don't ever do a manual jump, when you bounce off of something, you'll go back into the last jump that Diddy was in, which was the infinite one. And so the entire time, once you're in that jump, the entire time you're holding down B, you're gaining height really fast. And so you can just jump over stages. It's pretty slow though. So it was only limited to a few stages. It was only useful in a few stages unless you wanted a safe strat that lost like 10 seconds.
Right. I know that the only super jumps I can really find are the ones on 2.5, which you used to hit the barrel above the screen, and then there's the 3.3 one, right?
Yes, those are the only ones used in the run optimally, but there are loads that you can just do anywhere if you feel like it. If you're like learning on a time crunch, and you want to just like a 12-hour challenge or something, and you just want to go over a hard stage and take the 10-second time loss or something.
I gotcha.
Loads of them.
I found the video in particular.
Oh,
yeah. I know Garrison linked me to the channel, which is it's
cool. Can you post that? I was curious. I haven't seen that in ages. I never really asked about it, but I always think about every time I think about it, I'm like, man, it'd be nice if I had this still.
Yeah, I found it. Because he linked me to the channel, but I had to go like look through some of these to figure out which one it was. Because the guy does, or the person does, like compilations. So there's just tons of them. I just watched it on like 2x speed. But this one is the glitch de volar, which I believe means the flying glitch. I think I googled it. Google Translate told me it was the flying glitch. And
I'm not familiar with Spanish.
And eventually you can see like in the comments someone goes, "This became the super jump. Say dominina. Super jump muy efecto in speedruns." So it's a cool little part of history.
There was Sunvan that said it. That's funny.
Okay. So in 2016, or around the turn of the year between 2015 and 2016, I've been told that somebody named Rainbow Sprinkles found out you can do both a super jump and a jump roll at the same time.
Yep. So he said he found it during AGDQ, and Rainbow is another taster who had learned a lot from Tompa and makes ROM hacks as well. And he was just dabbling in a lot of things, right? And so nobody had ever tried to do them, like set up a super jump and then do a jump roll. And so it happened while everyone was away at AGDQ 16, and that completely changed the game.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think. The time saves on those are tremendous. I think I just did like a rough timing, and the super jump for 3.3 and the super jump roll for 3.3, 30 seconds difference?
No, it's like 20. It's about 20.
I think I put it down somewhere. It might have been like 22 or 24 or something. But yeah, it's a solid 20 seconds, you know. And even on some of these stages, some of these are even more than that.
Yeah, some of them save nearly a minute. The ones where you can just fly through the whole stage,
which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
So it seems like it was pretty quick though that everyone found almost all of the super jump rolls. Like
it's pretty simple because you can just super jump anywhere where a wall is, and a GK barrel is not too far away. So
what was sort of the criteria? Was it like, okay, where can we set up a super jump and find a jump roll? And they're like, okay, well then now we have both pieces.
Yeah, an enemy near a ledge and a wall. There you go.
Interesting. So are those tricks not viable for jump rolls by themselves?
Yeah, the big difference that made super jump rolls open up so much more was that you no longer had a height requirement, so you can't gain height or anything. And once you touch the ground, in a jump roll you land. So
yeah, like that.
If it wasn't in a good location, you could get it, but it was useless. Like there's one that people often go for after if they miss the 2 actual jump rolls in Tinked Up Trouble 6-1. And TJP always called it the consolation bonus prize because it's off of a tire, but the tires on both sides stop you from progressing, so it's a useless jump roll. Loads of those. Like you can jump roll off of any like tire plus an enemy. You can do it on accident. People do it on accident all the time.
It's actually pretty funny. I remember, I think back in 2004, Alex Penev found it. I think the exact same one as between two tires on Tanked Up Trouble.
Was that the first one?
That's one of the first ones that I've ever seen was in a task, an 80% task.
Yeah.
2004.
Tom always says that him and Arn played on NetPlay a lot and would screw around in the game, and that's when they found it.
Yep. So I definitely need to talk to him about the discovery, because it seems like they found it there, and the minecart madness.
It's a common story, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like both of those are like really niche, really sort of weird situations that you normally wouldn't find in the rest of the game. So it's like, it's kind of pointless. Yeah. But then they're like, oh, hey, we actually found out how to do it everywhere else, so it's super dope.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Do I have any more questions? Oh, I do have one more question. Garrison mentioned something called Donkey Festivals.
Oh, so the Donkey Festivals are something that I think originally it's just like a community event we would do with a lot of silly. There would be races, there would be regular speedruns, co-op, and like relay races, but also very silly things like who can jump over the barrel to get the one up at the end of what's F4-2 and DKC2 the most times without screwing up, or
is it really tight trick or something?
Race to get creme tut the first time. Or, it gets much, much sillier. Or in the most recent Donkey Festival, there have only been 2 so far. It was a DKC speedrun Pictionary, and that was quite a treasure trove of terrible images.
Sounds pretty
to
fun,
explain like obtuse speedrunning concepts. that was the highlight of that one for sure. And like there's a cool puzzle race. It was originally on Reflected's channel for the first one in 2014, and the Kipples revived it in 2017. I'm pretty sure Reflected organized the first one, or at least it was on his channel, and then an official DKC Speedruns channel was made, and the second festival happened, and that's a big community thing, but it hasn't happened very commonly, like just 2014, 2017 so far.
All right.
It's a lot of fun though.
That sounds fun. It's that I wish more communities had that kind of thing, just like a celebration of all things.
Yeah, because he is very insular, and that's been both a blessing and a curse to it in the past, I think.
In what way? In what way?
Especially back in the day, it was really hard. Like, it just felt like a group of friends that were very separate from the rest of the speedrun community. Although they, like, people like Garrison ran other games, for example, but I felt like just when I joined the DKC community, I had a tough time kind of getting the feel for, like, it's like it was always joke to be like a clique, but I don't know if it was really that. It was bad in any way. Just I remember I felt a little bit like an outsider, even having run the game for a long time.
Okay, I gotcha.
And so, but the good thing, of course, is that everybody in the community is pretty close, and it's a really good community to be a part of in general. And it's blown up more now, so it doesn't have that feeling it did back in 2012, 2013. That might have just been my perspective as well. I might have been imagining some of it. Who knows? You know,
that's fair. I mean, whenever you have like a group of like just 10 people as like that's like the entire community, it's like
but like I said, I never joined their mumble or anything, so I didn't try super hard to like get into the middle of, you know, the community there either. But yeah, so the upside is that DKC is a great trove of like really good resources and a lot of care put into things that most people just, you know, slap on a website and call it a day. Or like a lot of communities have good wikis and whatnot, but there are a lot more like unique things like that in DKC, I think.
Yeah, DKC has. I mean, the fact that you guys have not integrated with Speedrun.com and decided to do your own leaderboard, own website entirely.
That just finally happened after like the third or fourth vote and a bunch of bickering back and forth.
What?
Integrating to Speedrun.com.
Oh, it really happened?
Mm-hmm.
It just started? Oh, wow. Because like when we first started looking into
it might not be up yet, but they're working out the details now because it was like a 2-1 vote.
Oh, that's silly.
There are a lot more new people now, so, you know, the old boys who don't like SRC aren't really don't have as much clout, don't have as much, don't make up as large of a community.
I gotcha.
But
Times
it's definitely hasn't been without its drama. It's the first time I've seen DKC like have a lot of painful drama, like I usually laud it for avoiding. But yeah, swiftly ruining communities is the joke I always have for it. SRC, like at the fault of the side or not, it always seems to bring with it a lot of drama that split communities apart.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. We'll kind of skip over that.
Yeah, it's not that important. That don't need to be in the video.
So, I guess we'll end up with this. So, with Fathlow's run, he essentially hit every trick, right? He hit all the frames.
Mm-hmm.
He did do the vulture instead of the Kremlin tut.
Something like that.
Which I think is what, like 11 seconds slower?
12.
12? Okay. I hear conflicting numbers, but 12.
That's because it's like a telephone game.
I gotcha.
Because that's one of the problems, actually. There's not like a repository of frame data for a lot of DKC1 stuff. 2 has a lot of things like that. 1 doesn't. So I'll time something in an emulator, tell people what it was, and then I won't save it out. I'll forget. But
all right, that's all good.
Yeah, that tends to be like a little bit of variance. It's whatever.
Okay. So with so he got like all the frames, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is there anything left to do in order to sort of pass that time, or are we kind of at like the end of the road?
Did he go for I don't remember watching his run. Did he go for the 5.3 SGI? Like
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that one was added recently, and there are more.
Go ahead.
There are even more. It's just that the more that get added into successful runs, the less people want to do them.
Oh.
Like, I'd say Stu is a high-level player that's pretty new, so he's not quite disillusioned by the game yet, being a black hole of effort. Like, no matter what you put into that game, once you get to high level, like, extremely diminishing returns as you get better. It's not a very rewarding game to play at high level because it's much more punishing than it is difficult. So it doesn't feel like you're overcoming like very difficult tricks. Like, you just need to piece everything together. It's like, well, if I lost another 100 runs to the frame today, like, or something. And of course, it's not easy either. So like, you're not going to get every run to that point.
Indeed.
But it's not. There's an imbalance, severe imbalance.
Okay.
But yeah, for some reason, a lot of people aren't super interested in doing runs that don't have the frames. Like, whenever the topic comes up, people will split between different category ideas, and it never gains as much steam. I'm just like, well, all right.
Okay. So you said there's more SJRs in the run now, or there's potential?
Yeah, there have always been loads, and it was just a matter of what people feel like going for.
Interesting. Okay.
And very recently, a discovery that I think has a bunch of random names thrown out, but it was first jokingly called the super free roll.
I heard that
it was a way of doing an SJR without hitting a frame at a slight time cost, slight to heavy time cost, depending on which one it was. And so that's adding more flying over stages. And then it's an SJR that nobody goes for. Manic Mincers 6.2 as an SJR. I don't know if you can go for that one and still get the other ones, though. You'd have to like get it and then grab a DK barrel. And then recently there's Loopy Lights, which has only done 90%, which Fatho got a run in that too. I couldn't even do that one. That one's impossible.
Okay.
I think I got it once or twice. I'm like, all right. This category's not mine anymore.
I gotcha. Okay. So I guess if someone really wanted to beat Fathlow's time, they'd have to do all of the SJRs and maybe even a few
They'd really have to hate their life. But I'm sure I didn't watch his run in a lot of detail. I was just like, hallelujah, the demon is dead, and everyone can move on, maybe.
Yeah, they finally got the...
I was really happy that somebody got a good run of DKC 1. Like, ever since... So all the frames saved. So Eason got a 3259 before the SJR came out, and that was considered a huge breakthrough, even though it still had some improvement. And all the SJRs, even back in the day, we knew 31 was possible. Instead of 3159, everyone has a mid 31 summa best, and it just comes down to frames.
All right.
Every good runner has a mid 31 summa best, and everyone's capable of it, but it's just a matter of like suffering through that soulless grind, and consistencies are the big thing that I think I struggle with a little more than other runners.
Okay.
That made it really tough for me. So I'd always come back to all stages after long breaks because I'd have to mix it up even if I kept playing the game.
Yeah. Definitely want to fight off burnout and really make sure that you don't hate your life and hate your game.
Yeah. So just as an example of how everyone's good, but how volatile it is. In 2017, I was way more active than everybody was. I seem to be on an off balance with all the other runners. Like, I'll be active when nobody else is, and then I'll stop, and then everyone will start playing. I'll pick up categories at different times. It's been kind of funny. But in 2017, I held like every main record and a couple side ones at once near the end of 2017.
Nice.
And then once people came back, they just dropped like one after another because, like I said, everyone was at a similar high level, and hell, I thought I was like one of the weaker players within that top level. And it was just a matter of who was willing to put in the grind when.
Yep. Put in the attempts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I think that about wraps it up. Pichi, I appreciate your help.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming in. I know that it's late.